Single Dad's Touching Journey. Babysitter for Twin Daughters revealed as CEO's incredible daughter. Mark stood at the door, heart racing, as he prepared to leave for another long shift at the car wash. The air was thick with memories of laughter that once filled the house. His girls, Lily and Grace, both 6, ran to him with wide, innocent smiles, their bright eyes begging him not to go. "Daddy, please don't leave us," they chorused, their voices soft yet piercing. The little girls clung to his legs, small hands gripping tightly. "Daddy has to work, sweethearts." The words felt heavy on his tongue, a cryptic promise of love wrapped in the greedy hands of bills piling up. Every day, it broke him just a little more. The echoes of their mother's laughter haunted the walls, reminding him of the family he once had, now stripped away, leaving a gaping hole only time could heal. His days turned into weeks. The weight of his responsibility overwhelmed him. Neighbors whispered, their judgment palpable, and Mark could feel the sting of their assumptions every time he walked by. To them, he was just the struggling single dad trying to raise twins in a crumbling suburban town. The decision felt impossible until he met Emma, the bubbly teenager with a sparkling laugh who lived just 2 streets over. He hired her as a babysitter after a hesitant interview filled with awkward silences. She seemed like just another face from the neighborhood, and Mark barely expected her to rise above the ordinary. But as the nights morphed into weekends, Emma transformed their cluttered home with her infectious spirit. Board games, laughter, and homemade dinners filled the void, and Mark could breathe again. "Let us make cupcakes," Emma declared one Saturday, and the kitchen exploded in flour and giggles, a melody of happiness that danced on Mark's heart. He watched as the girls twirled around Emma, who was able to do what he thought was impossible, breathe life back into memories tarnished by loss. Yet, underneath Emma's bright demeanor lay a secret, a reality far removed from Mark's world. She was the daughter of a powerful CEO, the very man who would dismiss Mark without a second thought. Emma's internal struggle became evident as she absorbed the dynamics of their lives, realizing how different the world can be through shades of privilege and hardship. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Amid this newfound connection, Mark faced a tough choice when a promotion opened up at the car wash, one that would require him to compromise his principles. As he sat with Emma under the soft glow of a table lamp, he realized that the extra money came at the cost of hidden truths and societal expectations. They could be stepping into a realm that neither of them wanted, fraught with judgment and expectation. "Mark, I need to tell you something," Emma whispered one evening, hesitation creeping into her voice. Her eyes met his, and in that moment, the weight of their differences felt like an insurmountable mountain. Torn between ingrained values and a deepening connection, they stood at a crossroads, uncertain, but undeniably aware that their decisions could reshape their lives forever. The tension in the air crackled with possibilities. Could love flourish between worlds that seemed so distant? As Mark inhaled sharply, the fraught silence left them both wondering what path they would choose, and if their connection could stand the test of truth. The next few days felt like a blur for Mark. Work was exhausting as he tried to balance the long hours with his need to spend time with Lily and Grace. Each evening, he returned home, greeted by the cheerful chaos that Emma had woven into their lives. Yet, unshakable doubt gnawed at him. The looming promotion haunted him, whispering sweet promises of security, but he knew the price might be more than he could afford. One evening, as he watched Emma play on the floor with the girls, he was struck by how effortlessly she fitted into their little family. The way she encouraged Grace to draw, how she twirled around with Lily to make silly faces, it was like watching a master artist at work. Yet, under the warmth of this domestic bliss, a shiver of doubt lingered. Could his life ever align with the privileged world Emma was a part of? "Mark?" Emma's voice cut through his thoughts, a gentle reminder that she was still there. "Are you okay?" He met her gaze, faltering for a moment before he nodded. "Just tired. A lot on my mind." I get that. She leaned closer, her voice barely above a whisper. You don't have to tell me everything, but I'm here if you need to talk. The sincerity in her eyes melted a little of his stress, but it was drowned by the undercurrents of his fear. It's complicated being a single dad and all. Emma's expression shifted, tightening for just a moment. You're doing an amazing job, Mark. The sincerity of her words took him by surprise, and a flicker of hope ignited in his chest. Maybe he wasn't completely failing. Yet, could he hope for something more? Just then, Lily bounced over to him, her tiny hands covered in glitter from their latest arts and crafts project. Daddy, look what we made. Wow, it's beautiful, Mark exclaimed, forcing a smile, his heart swelling at her innocent pride. For a moment, all was right in the world. The stress of adult life melted away, replaced by the pure joy radiating from his daughters. Emma joined them, brushing her fingers through the glitter, laughing at the mess. We should definitely have a no-glitter rule next time. Mark chuckled, the warmth of laughter filling the room. Yet, as he glanced at Emma, he realized how hard it was to separate this newfound dynamic from the worries that consumed him. The laughter faded into an uncomfortable silence, a reminder of the walls they each lived behind. About that promotion, he hesitated. Would she think less of him? I need to make a decision soon. Oh, Emma's expression turned serious, a flicker of concern crossing her features. What are you thinking? I want to provide for my girls, give them a better life, he admitted, grappling with his desires. But it might come at a cost I'm not sure I want to pay. A moment passed, charged with uncertainty. Sometimes the right choice isn't the easy one, Emma said softly. Mark caught a hint of something in her voice, a deeper struggle mirrored in her own life. That night, as he tucked the girls into bed, his heart felt heavier than usual. He pondered the different lives they led, wondering if there was a way to merge the two worlds without losing what truly mattered. Could he embrace love, despite the risks entwined with it? As he gazed at their peaceful faces, his heart wavered between what was safe and what was right. Would taking a leap lead them to happiness, or would it shatter the fragile world they built? The next morning, with a knot in his stomach, Mark made a choice that would forever change the course of their lives, not yet knowing how profound the ripples would be. And just as he decided to take that step into the unknown, another thought crept into his mind. What secrets had Emma left unsaid? The sun streamed through the kitchen window as Mark sipped his coffee, the turbulent thoughts of the previous night swimming in his mind. Today was the day he would finally take the plunge, but uncertainty loomed large. He could still hear Emma's voice, gentle but firm, echoing in his ears. Sometimes the right choice isn't the easy one. As he watched the girls in the living room, their laughter ricocheting off the walls, a sense of purpose crept in. He wanted the best for Lily and Grace. But could he sacrifice this small, fragile family they had built? A knock on the door jolted him out of his reverie. Mark glanced at the clock. Was it a little too early for visitors? He opened the door to find Emma standing there, hair slightly tousled, a bright smile lighting up her face. Morning. I thought I'd bring some muffins, she said, holding up a box. Wow, you're a lifesaver, he replied, stepping aside to let her in. The warmth of her presence always had a way of cutting through the morning chill as they shared the muffins. Emma began flipping through the girls' artwork displayed on the fridge, her eyes sparkling with appreciation. These are amazing. You're raising little Picassos here, Mark. Thanks, but it's really all them. I just try to keep up, he smiled, feeling a balloon of pride inflate in his chest. They soon transitioned to the subject Mark had been dreading all morning. So, have you thought more about the promotion? Emma asked, keeping her tone light. Mark swallowed hard, struggling to find the right words. Yeah, I guess I've made a decision. He paused. The fluttering in his stomach mirrored the uncertainty in his thoughts. It's just I don't want it to change things between us. What do you mean? Emma asked, her brow furrowing slightly. He leaned back, the weight of his words heavy in his heart. If I take the promotion, I might have to work ridiculous hours. It feels risky. Her expression softened. You're a great dad, Mark. You're allowed to work hard to provide for your family. But that doesn't mean you'll lose what you love. Mark let her words settle on him for a moment. It's more than that. I just worry about how it could affect our time together. You have your own life to consider too. Emma's gaze shifted to the floor, her voice barely a whisper. I understand. Sometimes I worry about that too. The raw honesty of her admission tugged at something deep inside him. There was a connection they shared, one that felt undeniably real, yet confusing. What do you mean? Shadows passed over her face as she looked up at him. I've juggled being your girl's babysitter with my own dreams. Time with you and the girls means a lot to me, but I can't keep operating in the background. Mark's heart raced. He wanted to offer her more if only he could find the courage. What if we don't have to choose? He felt surprised by his own words. What if we can create a life where we all fit together? Just as Emma opened her mouth to respond, a shriek of delight filled the room. Look at my drawing, Daddy. Lily's face beamed as she presented her masterpiece, hands streaked with paint. Mark's heart melted. This was what mattered, these moments, this family, this love. He turned back to Emma, searching her eyes for response, but she was fixed on the girls with an unfathomable look. Maybe, she said softly, we can start today. Yet as they shared a tentative smile, uncertainty bloomed once more in Mark's mind. What did that really mean for them? Could they balance love and life with the burdens they laced through their dreams? And would Emma's hidden truths still linger in the background, waiting for the right moment to surface? Feeling a mix of excitement and trepidation, Mark knew that the journey ahead was about to deepen in ways he couldn't yet imagine. Mark held Lily's drawing with a smile plastered on his face, trying to absorb the joy radiating from her. It was a colorful blend of stick figures and clouds, a sunny day captured by the small hands that had painted it, and it stirred something profound within him. This was why he hesitated, why he stood still in the eye of the storm he had created with his choices. Emma watched as Lily explained every detail of her artwork with the kind of energy only young children possess. Grace joined in, her own little drawing clutched tightly in her hand, eager to share her creation. The clamor of their voices was like a balm to the confusion swirling in Mark's heart. Daddy, look at mine, Grace exclaimed, her eyes wide with hope. Mark knelt down, pulling both girls into a hug. These are the best drawings I've ever seen. He felt their small bodies against him, a warmth that enveloped him in its simplicity. They were his everything. After a few moments of familial bliss, he glanced up at Emma, whose gaze was still fixed on the girls. Her smile, bright and genuine, had an undeniable effect on him. They stood together, watching the life they had created in this little corner of the world. Mark, Emma said softly, breaking the moment. You mentioned not wanting to lose what you love. His heartbeat quickened. I know I risk a lot with the promotion. I can't bear to think of losing you all. Slight-hearted laughter echoed from the living room as the girls began to create their own games, their joy contagious. Mark felt torn. Should he press on towards the promotion that could change everything, or would it pull him away from what truly mattered? Maybe, Emma whispered, a hint of hesitation marking her tone. What you need to focus on is finding a way to have both. There are ways we can make this work. Her words struck a chord. Could they organize themselves to accommodate this new chapter? Hope mingled with apprehension as he wrestled with the possibilities. What if I discussed my schedule up front? Maybe they'd offer a way to balance work hours, he suggested, his mind racing. Emma smiled, the kind of smile that ignited sparks in his chest. I think that's a great idea. And you're not alone in this, you have people who care about you. Like you? Mark asked, locking eyes with her, the weight of the unspoken words hanging heavy in the air. Exactly, she replied, her voice steady, but he could see it, a flicker of nerves beneath her calm exterior. He took a step closer, their proximity charged with something electric. I want you in my life, Emma. Not just as a babysitter, but as part of this family. I'm ready to take that leap. But just as he was about to voice the depths of his feelings, a loud crash echoed from the living room. The girls had overturned a stack of cushions, laughter erupting like fireworks, a spectacular reminder of the joys of childhood. He broke into a chuckle, watching them tumble and shriek, but as the laughter faded, a shadow crossed Emma's face. Mark, can we talk about what this really means? Because we might have different understandings of family. His stomach tightened. What do you mean? I'm here, but I have dreams too, and I can't always be just the background. There is so much more to consider. The weight of her words crashed into him. Were they just on the brink of something beautiful, or was he about to step into an abyss? As silence fell between them, Mark felt an urgency to respond. He couldn't let fear dictate his choices. But could he truly bridge the gap between their desires without losing everything he held dear? With uncertainty constraining them both, Mark sensed he was standing at a crossroads of hope and risk. What would happen next? Would they find a way to blend their goals into one shared dream? The laughter of the girls wove through the air, a sweet counterpoint to the tension between Mark and Emma. Mark's heart raced, caught in a cyclone of emotion. He knew he had to address her concerns, but the weight of words felt like a burden he wasn't ready to carry. Emma shifted her gaze back to the girls, her expression softening as they constructed an imaginative fortress from the cushions. He admired her ability to compartmentalize, while he felt every ounce of worry weighing on his chest. "Emma," he finally said, his voice steady, "I want to hear about your dreams. I see how passionate you are, and I wouldn't want to dim that light." She turned to him, eyes wide and searching. "It's not just about me. It's about being a part of something, a family, without losing my identity along the way." There was a vulnerability in her voice that struck him. "Then let us figure it out together," he replied, feeling a flicker of determination. "What does having both look like? What would it take for you to feel included?" The corners of her lips turned up slightly, a glimmer of hope. "I need to believe that there's space for me, not just as a caregiver, but as a partner." Mark's mind raced with possibilities. "We can find ways to share responsibilities. I can make adjustments at work, talk to my boss about flexible hours. Maybe I could drop the girls off at school and pick them up after." His heart surged at the thought of restructuring his life. "That sounds wonderful," Emma smiled warmly, appreciation blossoming in her eyes. "But you need to make sure it's not just for me. This has to work for you too." Mark nodded, realizing how crucial honesty was at this moment. "I want you in my life, but I have to be honest. I'm scared. I've taken risks before that didn't pan out." Emma stepped closer, her eyes perceptive. "You can't let your past define your future. You and the girls deserve happiness, and so do you and I." Before he could reply, the girls burst into the room, their cheeks flushed with excitement. "Daddy, we built a castle," Grace announced proudly, her tiny hands waving in the air. "Yeah, a princess castle. Come see," Lily echoed, tugging at his shirt. Mark chuckled, feeling the weight lift ever so slightly from his shoulders. He turned back to Emma, sharing a fleeting gaze filled with unspoken words, possibilities, dreams, and fears all swirling in the space between them. He followed the girls into their cushioned kingdom, feeling lighter despite the lingering questions in his heart. They had crafted a bright tunnel of color and imagination, a world that was theirs. As he knelt beside them, their laughter ringing in his ears, a newfound determination settled over Mark. "Okay, my brave little builders," he declared, his heart swelling with love. "Let us make this castle the grandest of all." Amidst the play and joy, Mark caught Emma's eye again. Would they confront the crossroads waiting beyond this moment of bliss? Could he share everything, the burdens and dreams? As the world faded into giggles and soft whispers of excitement, he felt the warmth of their little bubble encompassing him. Yet, deep down, uncertainty still churned. His journey was just beginning. What lay ahead? Would their dreams intertwine, or would the distance between them grow while they navigated their aspirations? The girls squealed with delight as they draped makeshift capes made from old sheets, running around their fortress in a whirlwind of imagination. Mark's heart warmed at the sight. This was the essence of joy, pure, unfiltered, and contagious. Yet, a part of him remained anchored in the conversation he had just shared with Emma. "Daddy," Grace called, her eyes sparkling. "You have to see the balcony." Mark followed her to a corner of the castle, where a small opening created a perfect spot for royalty. With a dramatic flair, he fanned his arms wide as if to announce an audience. "Your Majesty, the King of Hearts has arrived." Emma watched, a soft smile on her face as she leaned against the wall, arms crossed. This man, the man she had begun to see in a new light, was becoming a pillar for her dreams. Could he really balance everything? As the girls played around him, Mark glanced toward Emma. He needed to reach out, to carve a path that could merge their worlds. "Hey, Emma," he said, trying to keep the tone light. "What do you think about hosting a family night this weekend? We can all pitch in." A flicker of surprise crossed her face. "Really? Why not? You can help plan the games, and I'll take care of dinner." He turned serious, wanting her to understand the sincerity behind his invitation. "I want us to start blending our lives, to make our little world a bit bigger." Emma's expression softened, the corners of her mouth curling into a gentle smile. "That sounds amazing." The girls, overhearing, jumped into the conversation. Can we have pizza? Oh, and ice cream, Lily exclaimed, her voice bubbling with excitement. Of course, Mark laughed, picturing a messy kitchen filled with laughter and flour. He could almost see it, the four of them cooking together, flour dusting their hair, playful shouts mixing with their favorite songs playing in the background. As the sun lowered, casting warm hues through the windows, they wrapped up their imaginative playtime. The girls clambered down from their fortress, giggling, and Emma approached Mark once more. Thank you for inviting me into this, she said, vulnerability creeping back into her eyes. He took a breath, the weight of his next words feeling heavier than before. I just hope I don't let you down, or the girls. You won tea, she reassured him, her hand resting gently on his arm. But we need to communicate. No more working in silos. Deal, he said, sealing their unspoken pact. Yet as he gazed into her eyes, he felt a storm brewing. Would his past haunt him again? Later that evening, Mark settled down on the couch to review some work while the girls sprawled out with their coloring books. The air was thick with the scent of popcorn, and laughter echoed softly from the next room. His phone buzzed, and a message from a number he didn't recognize lit up the screen. Mark, we need to talk. It's about the company. His stomach dropped. That familiar dread tightened around his chest. That voice, the one he thought he left behind, was creeping back into his life when he needed clarity the most. The laughter faded into the background as he stared at the message, the playful hum of the evening dissipating like fog. He needed to find a way to shield his new family from whatever was coming. But could he really fight the battle that lurked in the shadows? As realization settled in, Mark felt a chill run down his spine. Would he have to confront the past he had fought so hard to escape? Mark's mind raced, the walls of his cozy living room closing in around him. Memories washed over him, shadows from a time he had hoped to forget. The laughter of the girls barely registered as he weighed the ominous message against the warmth in the room. Could he truly keep them safe from the chaos that loomed? Taking a deep breath, he forced a smile, turning his focus back to Grace and Lily. All right, princesses, let's finish up our masterpieces, and soon it'll be time for dinner. His voice was bright, but inside, a storm brewed. Emma wandered into the room, her own smile fading slightly as she sensed the tension. Everything okay? She asked softly, her expression shifting from curiosity to concern. Yeah, just a bit of work on my mind. He played it down, hoping she wouldn't push. She tilted her head, studying him. You know you can talk to me about anything, right? Mark nodded, swallowing hard. The last thing he wanted was to pull her into his mess. I appreciate that. It's just a little busy at the company, that's all. Just remember to take care of yourself, too, she replied, her voice warm and reassuring. The little ones giggled again, oblivious to the adult troubles swirling nearby. Mark watched them, their joyous spirits lifting the weight on his heart, even if just momentarily. He found solace in their laughter, a reminder that they were his priority. Let us get those pizzas cooking, he announced, transforming anxiety into action. As they gathered ingredients in the kitchen, the chaos of flour and giggles transformed the mood. They worked as a team, throwing toppings on the dough and making silly faces at each other. For a fleeting moment, it felt normal, like any other Friday night. Look, Daddy, I'm making a smiley pizza, Grace declared, stacking pepperonis with fervor. You should call it the Happy Pizza, Lily chimed in, sporting a sprinkle-covered nose. Mark chuckled, their infectious delight pulling him into the present. In this moment, he was simply a dad, and they were just daughters. After they slid the pizzas into the oven, the smell filled the kitchen, creating a warm and inviting atmosphere. Emma poured drinks and joined them at the table. They began coloring, the sound of crayons filling the air with a rhythmic scratch. Mark felt the joy ripple through him. But just as he settled into the moment, his phone buzzed again, the screen lighting up a reminder that the past did not rest. He glanced at it, heart racing again, but chose to ignore it. Hey, it's almost movie time. Who wants to pick the film? He called out, shifting the mood once more. The girls erupted in animated suggestions, laughter bubbling forth. As they discussed films, Mark felt a sense of calm return, but it was fleeting. Could he maintain this blissful retreat he decreated? Would the past return, crashing through the fragile world he was building with Emma and the girls? Once the pizzas were out, the four of them huddled around the table, sharing bites and laughter as the movie played in the background. But even amid the laughter, Mark felt a tightening in his chest, a sense of foreboding he couldn't shake. The shadows were lurking. Later that night, as Grace and Lily dominated the living room with their chaotic sleepover antics, Mark caught Emma's eye. She leaned closer, her voice low. "Is everything really okay?" Before he could respond, the message from earlier flashed back into his mind. "We need to talk." He saw the worry in her gaze, felt the gravity of their connection weigh against his internal battle. "I'll tell you soon, I promise," he whispered, unsure himself if he could bear to say the words aloud. He could feel everything on the edge, joy mixed with uncertainty. As they headed to bed, Mark knew one thing for certain. He had to face whatever was coming. But how? The night fell heavy with unspoken worries, and Mark struggled to find peace. He glanced at the sleeping forms of his daughters, knowing he would do anything to protect them. But what kind of fight lay ahead? Could he shield them from the past that seemed to have no intention of staying buried? The morning sun spilled through the windows, and Mark squinted against the bright light. He blinked a few times, trying to shake off the remnants of a restless night. Flashes of dreams he couldn't remember danced around, but the anxious weight on his chest was unmistakable. The smell of pancakes wafted through the air. Emma must be up early again. The girls' laughter drifted in from the kitchen, quickly chasing away the darkness that had clouded his mind. "Hey there, sleepyhead," Emma called out with a cheerful tone as he shuffled into the kitchen. "Ready for a delicious breakfast?" Mark forced a smile, but deep down, he felt like he was holding an invisible wall between the joy around him and the impending storm that loomed on the horizon. "Smells amazing," he replied, trying to match her enthusiasm. Grace and Lily hopped up and down in their seats, their eyes sparkling with excitement. "We wanted pancakes in the shape of stars," Grace exclaimed, pointing at the skillet. "Yeah, and we can decorate them with sprinkles," Lily added, her tiny hands making air motions as if she was already covering the pancakes in colorful toppings. Mark's heart swelled at their energy. "Star pancakes it is," he said, squeezing into the empty chair next to them. He took a moment to appreciate the clatter of forks against plates. The chaotic chatter that filled the space seemed too perfect to let anything intrude. But as they dug into breakfast, the phone buzzed once more from the kitchen counter, piercing through the lively atmosphere. Mark's stomach twisted. He glanced at it, but his focus was soon on Lily's syrup-covered face as she declared victory over her stack of pancakes. "Daddy, look, I made a tower." She beamed, the proudest smile lighting up her face. "Impressive construction." Mark chuckled, yet his mind remained elsewhere. Emma's expression shifted as she read his mood. "I'll check your phone," she said, her tone gentle yet firm. "You need to know what's going on. It's not fair to keep it from me." Tension coiled in Mark's gut. "It's just work stuff, really," he said, faking a lightheartedness that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Mark," she pressed softly, a note of concern threading through her voice. "I care about you. Let me help." Her compassion dug deep into his chest, revealing a flicker of guilt. "I know. It's complicated." Grace looked up, sensing the shift. "Is everything okay?" Mark quickly masked his feelings with a smile. "Everything's great, sweet pea. Just talking about how we plan to build the biggest pancake tower." "Can I add sprinkles?" Grace asked, excitement returning. "Absolutely," Mark said, his heart lighter for the moment. As the girls bounced back into their pancake game, Emma stood by, arms crossed, but her worry still cloaked in affection. He admired her ability to see right through him, even while she showed so much understanding. After breakfast, Mark suggested a morning walk. He needed to breathe, to clear his thoughts. The four of them trailed into the sun-kissed outdoors, laughter lifting around them like butterflies. But as they stepped outside, the phone buzzed again. Mark let out a breath. "Just a work text," he said, but deep within, he knew it was more than that, so much more. Lily picked a flower, twirling it between her fingers as she shared a story about a magical garden. Mark smiled, watching her, but every soft giggle reminded him of the danger lurking just out of sight. Suddenly, the thought hit him. Was he being selfish by not telling Emma everything? If history had taught him anything, it was that keeping secrets only led to more chaos. The weight of his choice pressed down on him as heavy as a storm cloud. Mark turned to Emma, who was now looking at him, questions swimming in her eyes. This was the moment. "Emma," he started, his voice trembling slightly. "There's something I need to tell you," but before he could finish, a loud honking broke the tranquil morning air. A sleek black car pulled into their driveway, and as he recognized the driver, dread washed over him like ice water. What had he done to deserve this? Disruption? Fear knotted in his stomach as he watched the figure step out. How would he explain this now? Would it spell disaster for the little haven he had tried so hard to build? And just like that, the fragile piece shattered. Mark faced the looming presence with a heart full of dread. Would this be the moment everything changed? Mark's heart raced as he squinted against the sun, taking in the familiar figure stepping out of the car. It was Jake, his old friend from college, the audacious risk-taker with a penchant for drama. As Jake walked toward their home, Mark could feel the anxious energy crackling in the air. This wasn't just an unexpected visit. It was a siren call back to a much darker time in his life. "Mark," Jake called out, his voice booming with enthusiasm that seemed mismatched with the tension between them. "Long time no see. I was just in town and thought I'd drop by." Hey, Jake," Mark replied, forcing out a smile. Emma turned to him, her face a mask of confusion, and Grace and Lily peeked out from behind their father's legs. "Dad, who's that?" Grace asked, her small hand tugging at his shirt. "This is a friend from a while back," Mark answered, his brain racing. He didn't want to unload any of his burdens. "Not now, not in front of the girls." "Little tykes, huh?" Jake said, bending down to their level, a wide smile plastered on his face. "You must be Grace and Lily. I brought you something." Mark felt his stomach twist as Jake revealed a colorful bag from his pocket, pulling out flashy trinkets that sparkled in the sunlight. There was something both charming and unsettling about his old friend's charisma. "I'm not sure that's a good idea," Mark started, staring at the bright toys. "Oh, come on. What's the harm? Kids love gifts," Jake insisted, completely ignoring Mark's discomfort. "These are just for fun, right?" Emma's eyes narrowed. "We like fun, but we also like boundaries." "Right. Sorry, I didn't mean to overstep," Jake chuckled lightly. "Just trying to be the cool uncle here." The tension in Mark's chest broadened, a throbbing reminder of the secrets he had buried deep. He glanced at Emma, concern etched in her brow, and he was struck with a realization. This was not just about the unexpected arrival of an old friend, it was about how many walls he had built to keep his past hidden from the present. "Maybe we should talk," Mark finally said to Jake, gesturing away from the girls. "Just not here." His voice was steadier than he felt. Jake looked taken aback, but shrugged it off. "Sure thing, buddy. I just wanted to catch up." He threw the toys back into the bag with an exaggerated gesture, as if dismissing any consequences of his intrusion. Emma instinctively stepped closer to Mark, her concern intensifying. "What is going on?" she whispered urgently, her eyes narrowing. Mark took a deep breath. "I need to be honest with you," he replied, his heart racing as he turned back to Jake. "Let us step into the garage for a minute." As they moved away from the girls and into the shadow of the garage, Mark felt an entire world of memories crashing around him like a wave. The smell of motor oil and old wood filled his nostrils, and walls he thought were firmly built started to give way. "What is this all about?" Jake asked, arms crossed, a teasing grin still lingering but now tinged with curiosity. "Things have changed. I'm not that carefree guy anymore," Mark said, steadying his own voice. "I have a family now. It's complicated." Jake's smile faded, and for the first time, Mark saw a flicker of understanding in his friend's eyes. "I get it, man. But you're not in this alone. We can always make things work." "But what if I can't?" Mark shot back, the words spilling from him, raw and desperate. "What if this time I can't just walk away from the past?" Jake looked taken aback, but Mark pressed on. "I've worked hard to build this life. I can't let it fall apart because of something I buried long ago." Suddenly, a sharp giggle broke through the garage door, snapping Mark back to reality. His daughters, light-hearted and innocent, remained blissfully unaware of the storm swirling just beyond their view. Jake rested his hand on Mark's shoulder, but the gesture felt heavy rather than supportive. "You're stronger than you think. Just don't shut everyone out. You might need help more than you know." Mark took a step back, shaking his head. "I can't let them down. Not again." Behind them, laughter faded into a distant hum, replaced by an uncomfortable silence. Mark's resolve seemed to shatter like glass. How much longer could he shield Emma and the girls from the chaos that had defined his past? As he stood there, caught between loyalty and fear, Mark realized the hardest choice was coming. Would he break his silence and risk everything for the truth? Or retreat back into the shadows, holding on to the hope that it would all just go away? He turned to Jake, determination stealing in his voice. "I'm ready to talk. But this might take longer than we thought," and as he stepped forward into that uncertainty, the phone buzzed once again, an echoing reminder of the chaos awaiting him. What revelations awaited in the conversations to come? Would his past finally be laid to rest, or would it unravel the very fabric of his new life? As Mark's heart raced, he and Jake stepped back into the living room. Laughter from Grace and Lily filled the air like music, piercing through the heaviness inside Mark. Emma watched, her brow slightly furrowed, sensing the uncertainty that lingered. It was time to put the cards on the table. "Jake, thanks for dropping by, but I really need to talk to you about some things." "Not now, but later," Mark said, trying to keep his voice steady. Jake raised an eyebrow, but he seemed to get the message. "All right, man. Just let me know what works for you," he replied, taking a step back and heading towards the door. The rift felt palpable, but that was part of the process, wasn't it? Making sure Emma and the girls remained untouched by his past, the one he swore he'd never let rear its ugly head again. "Mark?" Emma's voice brought him back. She approached, concern brimming in her eyes. "What is going on?" Mark took a breath and went for honesty. "I need to be transparent with you, Emma. That was Jake. We went to college together, and I made choices back then that caused a lot of turmoil in my life. Choices I thought were long buried." "What do you mean?" Emma pressed, fear and curiosity intermingling in her tone. He placed a hand on her shoulder, feeling the warmth radiating from her. "I've made a lot of sacrifices to protect my girls, to protect this life. I can't let anything disrupt that again." With every word, he felt both weighty pressure and a release like popping a long-held bubble of fear. Emma's gaze softened, a steady calm filling the space between them. "Mark, I care about you and the girls. But you can't go at this alone. If there is something that could affect our lives, you need to share it with me." Feeling buoyed by her understanding, he nodded earnestly. "You're right. I should have told you sooner. I've been so scared of dragging you into my past, of you seeing me differently. You're still the same man. Only now you have so much love around you. That strength is what I see, not the past you're so afraid of," Emma said, voice firm yet soothing. "I want to be part of this, Mark. We can face whatever comes our way together." With her words washing over him, something shifted in Mark's heart. The weight began to lift, a flicker of hope ignited amidst his own fears. Just then, Grace and Lily burst back into the room, dragging colorful drawings. "Daddy, look what we made," they exclaimed, holding their art high like trophies. Mark's breath caught in his throat. The innocence, the pure joy, they were his heart. "These are beautiful," he replied, already filling with pride. The girls beamed, lost in their world of imagination, that he looked back at Emma, who was smiling through a glimmer of tears. At that moment, Mark knew this was the life he fought for, the family he wanted to protect at all costs. "All right, princesses, what do you say we add some glitter to your masterpieces?" Mark suggested, his heart glimmering with light as their laughter enveloped him once more. "Yay, glitter!" they sang in unison, and the three of them bounced toward the craft supplies, lighting up the room. "Mark," Emma said quietly, drawing closer again, "whatever challenges lie ahead, including Jake, we will navigate them as a team." He swallowed, his heart swelling with gratitude and a little fear. "Thank you, Emma. You give me the courage to face my truth." As the afternoon unfolded, the atmosphere changed from one of tension to one resplendent with joy, the messy craft project shaping moments filled with giggles and magic. That evening, sitting around the dining table piled high with half-finished glitter projects, pizzas, and a movie playing softly in the background, it all felt monumental. Mark made a silent vow to himself to confront his past, armed with family, connection, and Emma's unwavering belief in him. And so, in the warmth of shared laughter and glittering aspirations, their little world swayed between hope and uncertainty. But it was moments like these that showcased life in its rawest, most beautiful form, a journey of struggle, but also of resilience, love, and transformation. Mark glanced at Emma, who caught his eye and smiled. They didn't have all the answers, but together, they were forging a new path, hand in hand. The doorbell rang suddenly, disrupting their bliss. Mark's heart dropped. "I'll get it," he said as he stood. Stepping outside, he opened the door to find someone unexpected, his old boss, the CEO, standing there with a raised brow. "Mark, we need to talk about your promotion." "It's urgent," the voice commanded. Mark's heart sank again as a familiar anxious tug returned. Everything he had built was about to be tested once more. But he squared his shoulders, tipped his chin, and felt Emma's warmth following him into the hallway that he knew he could face this. No turning back now. This was the moment. The moment where they would make a stand together. As tension and uncertainty filled the air, Mark understood whatever came next, he would ensure it protected not just his dreams, but also Emma's and, above all, his daughters, who knew how their lives would unfold. But in that moment, surrounded by hope and the promise of love, Mark sensed a quiet determination rising within him. Now it was time for action against the past and for the future. You need to subscribe now. Don't wait not even one more second to share this incredible journey with friends and family who need to see these transformations. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more hearts. Comment your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. Your voice matters. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who could use a little inspiration. This is the moment to show your support.